Hello, everyone. We want to welcome you to our webinar today. We are excited to have Breon Jennings from Innovia Consulting with us. And Breon will be presenting on Analyze Data by Dimensions right from Business Central. Before I pass it over to Breon to cover on this topic, I would like to remind you that we are recording this session and it will be posted to our on-demand webinar library for you to review and share with anyone. And if you do have any questions, please feel free to type those into the questions box. We'll get them answered along the way and get your questions answered right before we go on to anything else. So now I'm going to pass it on over to Breon to kick off our presentation.
Thank you, Angie. Good afternoon, everybody. So as Angie said, we're talking about analyzing data by dimensions. So today, we're going to go and talk through these key points. We're really going to break down what dimensions are. Most of you may know what these are, but if you don't, I'm going to touch base on this in layman's terms. Analysis views and how we are able to use those for our benefit, including setting up analysis views and ultimately pulling them all back into our report outputs and how to review those things in a manipulated way that we want to see our financials. So this slide right here is just a summary of all the definitions I pulled right from Microsoft. Very wordy, right? But really, these things are going to be the most important things we touch on today. These are essential to understanding what we're doing and just helps tie everything together. So dimensions, Microsoft has their definition, but really it's just the way you can tag a transaction that gives you the ability to slice and dice your data, right? So if you want to tag transactions for a short period of time, forever, you can require it in the system and use dimensions is how we do that. This can go straight through to our reports and financials that we have in the system to give you guys ease of making decision making. We also have analysis reports. That is something that we'll use as well today. And it's just another way of looking at a report. Okay, it's just going to be a base report. You can pick your column and your lines and really understand what's going on that you're analyzing. But they do not have to be dimension focused. But today, because we're focused on dimensions, we do have the analysis views by dimensions. To be able to look at the analysis views by dimensions, you have to create your analysis report, and we'll look into that a little bit as well. And then ultimately your account schedules. In Business Central, you have account schedules, and those are your financial reports, right? And we have the ability to tie our analysis reports to our account schedules. So we're not just looking at data in a generic way. We can have our opportunity to really change it and make it useful for us. So a couple of just examples of some analysis reports that are standard out of the box in the system are sales analysis reports. You can use an example of items by sales period, salesperson by item. You can also use it for purchasing, right? For items purchased by period, items by cost, and those are just standard right out of the box. So Business Central has them built in, but we're going to use the functionality because I am a firm believer in being able to do things the way I need to do it and manipulate my data the way I need to do it. So we're going to really build it out for ourselves today. But just I want to mention and make sure you guys understood that you do have the opportunity to be able to use some standard out of the box functionality to just make some base analysis reports. You can do the same thing by building it yourself, which we'll do today. But if you want, you can really go down and break down to this level. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and go into our demonstration. So here I have my Business Central sandbox environment open up. And the first place I want to go to is I want to go to my dimensions. If I open my dimensions, you'll see we have 3 different sets of dimensions, right? Now, something important to note is that you can have an infinite amount of dimensions. You can have dimensions for a short period of time. You can create dimensions forever. However, there are 2 global dimensions and 6 additional shortcut dimensions that you can have that touch each and every page you go to. Okay, the global dimensions flow through the system. They'll be labeled as they are. In this scenario, we have our global dimensions as customer, group, and department. But your shortcut dimensions won't be labeled, right? They'll just say shortcut dimension 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, so on and so forth. So that's a little bit of the difference between the global. The global ties to every table in the system where your shortcut dimensions aren't. They're there for a tag so you can review, but they're not dig down deep into each table. With that being said, you can have infinite amount, and in this scenario, I have this region dimension. My region dimension is not one of my shortcuts. It's not one of my globals. It's just dimension because I want to measure something for a short period of time, and I have regions that I want to break things up into. We're going to use the region dimensions today to really look at some things we can do with our analysis. If I dig down into my dimension list and look at my values for my region, you see I have some generic northeast, southeast, east, west, so on and so forth. Now, if I wanted to, I can total all my south, southeast, and southwest into my main south totaling by using this column. I haven't done that today, but there is an opportunity for you to really break things down and sum things up. So now I'm going to navigate to my analysis views. So look at your analysis views. This is where having those dimensions that aren't shortcut is how we'll be able to assign those, okay? So in this scenario right here, I have a sales one, and you see I have dimension code 1, 2, 3, 4, because you can tie 4 dimensions to your analysis view. That being said, they do not have to be your global shortcuts. It can be any ones you want. For my third, I made region, which is not a shortcut dimension. I'm going to open this up. And as you open up, you can see the screen. And I want to talk a little bit about this card. So when we create a new one, we give it a code and give it a name. And we have our account source. Our account source is where we're going to be dragging all our information from. You can use a GL account or you can use a cash flow account. The cash flow accounts, that's another webinar, but you can have a cash flow chart of accounts that can dictate things you do and decisions you make. So you can have that. Today we're using just GL accounts. You can also filter this down to specific accounts filters. We're not using that right now, and you'll see why in the next screen. And you can compress this data by periods. You can do it by day, month, week, so on and so forth, dictated here, as well as looking at the starting date for your data. Now, analysis view may not be something that you want to do long term. This may be something that you have for just a short period of time, just to do and look at data just for interest, right? For that, you can always block it after you get done with it. And this will allow for you just to look at it and not really have other people dictating this, because if depending on the volume that you guys have people and inputs into your system, analysis views are working in the background. And when they work in the background, they can give you some performance issues if you have a ton of data going in. Because remember, when we tag that data, when we tag that transaction with that dimension, now it's going to have to also be reflected into our analysis views. So it's going to take a little bit longer to make sure it keeps track in here. That being said, you see this field that says update on posting. We can have that turned off like it is today. And if it's turned off, before you look at your analysis views, you need to turn on your and update it. Come here and update it. If you don't update it, it won't update the information because we don't have it updating on posting. If you want to update on posting, we'll just simply click here to enable update on posting. In Business Central, there's a great, I encourage you guys to look at it, a great module with budgets, and it ties through a lot of these things as well. And you can include it right here in your budget. So if you had some budgets that you want to include, you can put it in right here. Okay. But our focus is going to be on dimensions. That's our title. That's our name of our webinar today. And as you can see, I've tied some dimensions right here in my dimension code 1, 2. Even though it didn't have to be this way, I chose to do it this way in our region. So I'll come back here. I can click on my update to update all my data. So if there's transactions going on, I can go and update it to review and look at it. And I'm going to go and click on my analysis by dimensions. When I click here, a different screen is going to pop up. And this is going to give you the ability to filter some things out, filter some things in, and that's why we chose to do it in this screen, not the other one. So I want to talk through this for a quick second. We have our date filter, okay? So I'm going to dictate, I want to look at it for a long period of time. I'm going to do 2018 all the way to today. Okay. I can filter on which accounts I want. Now, I know this account filter already. I already know where I want, but if you need to, you can click on those 3 ellipses and you can see what account you have in your chart of accounts. It links directly to there. So you can know, I want to look at P&L. I want to start from my 4,000 all the way to 61,995. So I'm going to type that in. And I just open it up. I did put the 70,000 just to make sure I encompass everything. You have the ability, if you have consolidations enabled and you have multiple companies, you also have the ability to use this business unit filter right here. So this is a great tool. Customers ask for it consistently because it gives you the power to really do some analytics from your data. Okay. And I also can filter it down to specific dimensions if I choose to. Down here, I can choose what my options are. So if I want to include closing entries, if I have huge volume of data, so I have things in the millions and I want to just kind of sum things up so I can have simple, easy numbers to view, I can choose that. I can also choose show opposite signs. So it gives you an opportunity for like revenue expenses. You can flip the signs, makes it cleaner and easier to look at. And I see here we have a question.
Yes, Breon. If you do not list dimensions for your analysis report, will the report automatically pull only global dimensions?
It won't. So good question, Tracy. So if you're in here, you have to designate what dimensions you want to tie in. And I'm going to show you when we get to the account schedule portion, you have the opportunity to really dictate things and break down your data a little bit better. So it's going to be best that you dictate it. And I hope I answered your question, Tracy. Okay, but that's a really good question. Okay, so my matrix option, I have my view by, right? So I can choose a date, a week, a month, a quarter, so on and so forth, right? You may not want to look at things by day. You might do, but if you don't, you can always change it from there and you can use it as a net change amount, okay? And once you kind of dictated what you want, your filters, things you want to view and look at, you have up here your show matrix. When I click on my show matrix, it's going to take from what I did for my filter for chart of accounts, and it's going to organize it in order, just like it is in chart of accounts, and it's going to give me my responses, right? So I did per month, right? So January, February, March for 2018, etc., and my codes for all my income statement accounts. And here's my values. Now this is great because you can always remember anything in blue you can click on. So I can always come down here and click on it and view what's going on, what entries occurred in here, and see what happened in that time period. So it gives you the opportunity to kind of drill in, do some analysis, get some information of why your numbers are what they are. However, I see there's another level of clarity you can use. Instead of using it just from this level, you can dig down and tie it to your financials, right? Because not everyone's chart of accounts is organized in a way that makes it easier for you to look at it from this dimensions matrix. You may need to kind of massage it to make it fit what you guys need. So you can always export to sourced analysis. You can always export Excel and look at it, copy and paste, drill down from that level of detail, and that's all well and good. Or you can tie these analysis views to our account schedules. And Tracy, this is where I think identifying and tying this in to your analysis views will help you. I'm gonna close this out. I'm gonna back out of this. I'm gonna go to my account schedules. And in my account schedules, you'll know just from user experience, you'll see that there's always going to be some default account schedules in there. But I've made me one a contribution margin account schedule. Now, I'm not going to drill too far deep into account schedules. That's I think Marlene did a great one on this. I think that's who did it. But I want to just point out a few important things. You see over here, we have our analysis view name. This is where you tie your analysis view to your account schedule. What this does is gives you the ability to really break things down. So if I come in, I drag down, I'm going to come and tie it there, and I'm going to edit. So I'm going to process, edit my account schedule. When I come here, I can see I have my department code and my customer group code. So I have the opportunity to really break things down. You guys can also notice that I am missing my region, right? Not a problem at all. Remember, Business Central, you have the ability to personalize your screen. So I'll just come right here, go to personalize, add a field, and you can see my dimension 3 totaling. So I'll come here and I'm going to drag it over here. Catch up. I'm going to exit out of this once it catches up. Click done. And I'm going to come out of this really quick just to kind of refresh it. Let it get an opportunity to refresh what it's doing. Now you see I come back in here, it is now showing region code. So just to reiterate, this isn't a shortcut dimension, this isn't a global, but because, like I said, we have infinite number of dimensions that we may use for any predetermined time period, you can use this for your analysis. So here I can default, I can detect, I say, you know what, I want to look at my cells just for my regions of the Northwest or the Southeast. I can select that right here. And when I go to my report, it's going to return that. We can also go ahead and break these things down. So if I have my cost of goods sold, I can come here, I can add a new line. And I said, I'm not going to go too far into this. If I can do my COGS, I can indent this field and I can say, this will be Southeast region. And I can tie this in right here. And I just need to dictate what accounts it's going to be. So it's going to look at these accounts. It's going to say, these are the accounts we're looking at for cost of goods sold, and we're only going to return for this region. Paste this. Oops. 0, 1, 0, 9. Okay, great. So these are the lines, right? You have also have the opportunity to do that for our header or our row or our columns. So if I come here, go to my process, edit column layouts, and you notice I had net change for mine, have the same thing, and you see I have it defaulted here. Now, if I come here, I want to show you, you have to have the same analysis view for your columns as you do with your rows. So this may be a time that if you want to dictate and specify information for this particular report, you'll want to create your own column layout. So that way you can have the flexibility to use your column layouts the way you need to. For example, net change can only be used right now currently with analysis views that have, with account schedules that has the analysis view cells tied to it. So that's a little bit of limitation, not a big deal. You can copy and paste and make a new column layout and remove the analysis view. So you can continue to do this for a time period, and then in the future, you can remove and delete it. So now if I want to make each one of these columns based off of some data, I can say, you know what, I want to make this only return my department sales. Okay. And I have a department, literally a department name sales right here. And my next column will be admin. And so on and so forth. Now, just to let you know, you guys also have the opportunity, like I said earlier, you can tie budgets into all these things. You can tie your budget in here. So if you have a scenario where you have a sales budget or a sales contribution margin in my example, that you need a budget for, you can create a budget for them and then tie it here so you can see what your goals are and where you're at. It's a great tool. I love the budgeting functionality. So I've created this. I've gone back out of this. Now I want to go ahead and process this. I want to overview. Now overview, I can view my data. This is automatically defaulted from 4/1/20 to 4/30. And it has some transactions in here to see my contribution margin. But I can filter this up. I can expand this today like I did earlier and give me better numbers. Remember, this is filtered down by sales. Even though the totals over here is filtered down by sales. Okay, then I have my Southeast. So I don't have anything in my Southeast region. This may be giving me something to research to say, hey, what's going on with my Southeast region? Are we getting sales? Are we getting costs? Are we recording transactions correctly in the system? Right? It gives you the opportunity to really reflect on what's going on. Now, you can always still continue to filter down in your dimension filters. It's going to let you filter down by your predefined dimensions from your analysis view. So you can still drill down in here as well. So you don't have to dictate it there. You can always keep them empty and then kind of reuse them and change them as you go along. It just gives that ability. We've had some customers at times want their profit loss statement to have the different subsets, and this gives you that flexibility. Now, once you're done, once you say, you know what, this is good, this is what I need, or you have someone that needs to review it, you can always come in here and send it to Excel. Remember, this is a Microsoft product. It integrates very well with Excel, Word, so on and so forth. So we can come here, we can export this and create a new document. And when we do that, 1 second, it's opening up. Just to pull it over and show you can have it, and now you can still do further analysis. So even though you've broken things down in Business Central, you massaged it, you made it look like the way you want it to look, regardless of what your chart of account format is. You've really dictated what dimensions you're going to tag things on and what you can bring for a long period or short period of time. You still may want to do further analysis, right? So from there, you always have the opportunity to really export it right here and really continue to break down things and look further to the whole. Okay. So I'm gonna come back over here to my slides. So today we really broke down, we talked about what analysis views are. I kind of showed you a little bit of a high level of what you really can do, how you can break these things down, how you can view these things, and what they actually are saying, what they're meaning, okay? And we took it further to look at it by dimensions so you can see it buy the chart of account format. You don't have to do anything from it. Out of the box, it's ready for you to go and look and export to Excel. But we want to take it up a notch and look at it from a different level from our financials we currently have. I've showed you how to really tie them to account schedules. And if that's not enough, if being able to do and dig down and really pinch down on things aren't enough for you, there's always the opportunity to export to Excel to further analyze what you're doing. And as I said before, one of my favorite things, you can tie it to a budget. So you can see what you plan for and where you are. Very flexible, very easy tool to use. And you see we've done it in 30 minutes. You can do this in 10, 15 minutes for yourself to really get some information out of the system. So without that, do you guys have any other questions for me today?
Thank you, Breon. If anybody does have anything, go ahead and type those in so we can get those answered for you. We don't have anything at this moment. We'll give it a couple of moments and let you guys type your thoughts in.
Okay, great. And just to let you know, guys, I use an example of contribution margin, but you really can use anything, right? You can use a matrix of your dimensions if you want, and really have the flexibility to kind of do some things and massage some things to look at it, what you've done, to be able to make better decisions.
All right, Breon. Well, it doesn't look like there's any questions coming through. Thank you for presenting today, and to everyone on today's webinar, or if you're watching on demand, we thank you for joining us.
Thank you, guys. If you guys need anything, any questions, concerns, comments, please feel free to just send me an email. I'm here and I'm excited to hear from you guys. Thank you.
All right. Well, again, thank you, everyone. And just to let you know, we do have some more webinars coming soon. Tomorrow, we have John Grant and Jenny Hollingsworth from Innovia Consulting. They're going to be continuing their Business Central for Manufacturing 101 series, and they will be presenting on confidently forecast sales and production. And next Tuesday, Holly Kudel from Innovia Consulting will be presenting on pivot tables. Not as difficult as they seem. So check out our website for more of our upcoming events, and it's innovia.com/events. And if you haven't heard already, we do have a podcast that is going on. It's called the Innovia Conversation, and we just want to encourage you to listen to our selection that Steve Waltz and Jeff Rogolski have provided to us over the past almost year and a half. They do about 2 episodes a month, and you can find about all the different podcast platforms to listen to on our podcast page, and that's innovia.com/podcast. So check out the selection and subscribe so you can get notified when those new episodes air. All right, well, thank you again for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you again soon on another Innovia webinar. Have a great day, everyone.